Yo, what's up guys? Zach here. Hey, today I want to talk to you about the value of college. Now, first of all, I want to showcase to you an amazing backdrop here at Starbucks, right? And first of all, I wanted to apologize for not making a video for a couple days, guys. I had some really kind of cool things come up. We got flown over to the corporate office of a big network marketing company to meet some of their C-suite, and it looks like we might be doing some pretty legit awesome work for this network marketing company. I'll give you more details as it kind of hashes out. It's kind of it's not up in the air right now. It's probably going to happen, but I just don't want to divulge anything until the contracts are in place and stuff like that. But anyway, today I want to talk to you about the value of college, and I'm going to kind of cut to the chase here. I spent a little bit of time on a podcast earlier today talking about it. Got a little bit in depth, so if you want to go there, you can go listen to that at the MLM Rebels podcast. But the big thing that bothers me with college is that people don't think about the end in mind. And when you're going into any sort of business, you should always be thinking about the end in mind. Like, what am I trying to get? What am I trying to accomplish here, right? If you do that, you'll almost always make better decisions. And it seems that college is baked into our minds so heavily as something that we have to do rather than something that we should do, like actually should do for ourselves. We think that we have to do it because it's socially acceptable, it's what everyone's going to do, and when we are going to figure out our lives, we think we need to do that at college. We think we need to spend 20, 30, 40 grand a year to figure out what we're doing, and that's just totally wrong. There's some instances where you should definitely go to college, like you absolutely should, and if you don't, no one's going to trust you to do what you want to do. If you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you are a practicing psychologist, right? These are things that I don't know about that one, but these are things that you probably need to go to college for, right? Like if you go to do surgery on me, you better believe I'm going to ask where you went to school. It's medical school, right? But if you're trying to make money, if you are trying to be in business for yourself, but really an entrepreneurial class, do you realize that most of the professors teaching entrepreneurial classes, not all of them, I get it, but most of them don't even own a business, and maybe they never have? Why would I learn how to be an entrepreneur for someone who has a job? That doesn't make sense at all. So if I'm trying to make money, if I'm trying to make $100K a year, do you need to go to college? Absolutely not. If I'm trying to make $1 million a year, do I need to go to college? Absolutely not. If I'm trying to make $10 million a year, do I have to go to college? Absolutely not. If I care about what I'm doing, do I have to go to college? Maybe. Maybe I do, depending on what I'm actually doing. Does a degree is it actually required, and is the level of specialized knowledge something that I shouldn't go learn on my own? Meaning, if you're trying to be a surgeon, you probably shouldn't just go try surgery to figure it out, right? You should probably go get trained. If you are trying to be a salesperson, do you really need to go to college for that, or should you just go start selling stuff? You see what I mean? See, here's the beef I have. The beef I have is that it's baked into our society so deeply that everyone needs to do it, and it's not actually the right move for everyone. I got a problem with the fact that people will basically brainwash kids. They're 14, 15, they're 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and they're making a decision to lock away $100,000 of their future selves' earnings in order to learn something that is very likely not going to be used. In most cases, I don't know the actual stat, but I talked to thousands upon thousands of people being in the industry that we're in, and in most cases, people are either underemployed or they're not working in the field of study that they went to college for. Why do you have a degree? Why on the planet do you have a degree in psychology if you work at a bank, right? Why on the planet are you going to get a good degree in communications when you don't actually need a degree to learn how to communicate, right? Why is this stuff happening? And there was actually a stat. We had a really, really smart guy on our podcast that is revolutionizing the way that college and education works. And he gave me some stats, and he basically said, and I might be misquoting him here because it's my memory, not his, but in this year alone, there will be about 120,000 people that graduate with a psychology degree. So in the next 10 years combined in North America, there will be about 60,000 psychology jobs available. Did you catch those numbers? 120,000 people would graduate this year with a psychology degree, and 60,000 grand total jobs will be available in the next 10 years combined. That's a problem. And people are getting fed this is the way to success the whole time, and those are the actual numbers. Are you serious? He called them junk degrees. And I think that might be I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It could be good, it could be not, but I'm just kind of reiterating that one. I personally have a family member with a psychology degree, and I know she worked very, very hard for it, so I'm not trying to put that down. I'm also not putting down college in general. College in general, I mean, to work at something for 4, 5, 6 years, 8 years to attain a goal is very admirable. I don't care what it is. So I'm not bashing college. And like I said, there are some instances where it's really, really needed. In fact, everyone in my family has a degree, with the exception of me. I have a diploma. I have a trade school diploma, because I was like, well, why am I going to take 2 years doing gen eds when I can just go learn what I need to learn right now and skip 2.5 years of my life? I'll do that. I'm not saying that's a good move, by the way. I'm just saying that's what I did. But all of my family members have real degrees. So I know what it takes to actually go get one, and I respect it. But here's the thing. There's also something called, the statistics people know this, but it's the value of correlation and causation. Now, essentially what it says is, if you find a statistic or you find something that is happening, just because it's correlated doesn't mean it's what's caused it. So what some people will say, people that are arguing for college, is saying, well, average earnings are higher among graduates. True, but maybe not related. Just because they're correlated doesn't mean it's caused or was caused by that. What am I saying here? Average earnings are higher among college graduates, yes, but is the degree giving them a higher earning? Or is the thing that caused them to fight through 4 to 8 years of hardship, that grit that they developed, or the grit that was already inside of them, is that grit the thing that actually causes them to earn more money? In statistics, it's said that you cannot link the two. You can't link correlation and causation without further documentation, without further evidence. So that argument is actually not an argument, and when you are taking a scientific look at it. Pretty nuts, right? Also, I'm not getting into that. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can here. The bottom line is this: I'm not against it. I'm not against college by any means. There are certain situations where you should definitely go. But think of the end in mind. What are you trying to get after? If you're trying to make money, do you need to go? Or is it just what's socially acceptable? You probably don't need to go. And maybe you have to, and if you do, then go. But if you don't, then are you just doing it because it's socially acceptable, because you think you need to, because you actually are doing it, or because you actually want to? If you're trying to make more money, you don't need to go to college, if you don't care what you're going to be doing necessarily, right? If you are going into most fields of study or most fields of work, you don't really need to go to college. In fact, you can skip many rungs of the ladder by not. I mean, yeah, I don't want to go into that, but yeah, you can skip a lot of rungs of the corporate ladder and never have a degree. Just an FYI. You don't have to bend to the rules. If you're trying to go to the corporate ladder, start at the bottom and work your way up, you probably need a degree. But you can skip many, 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 many levels in the corporate ladder by simply being smarter. And you don't need to go to college for that. You don't need to fight through all those years of debt. When thinking about a master's degree, I was recently having a conversation with a C-suite marketer, the C-suite over the marketing department at a really big corporation. She went back to go get a master's degree and said it was completely worthless. She didn't need to go get it. It didn't help her get better at marketing, and it took away from the time that she spent. She didn't get her C-suite job because of the master's degree. She just went because she thought she needed to, and she didn't need it whatsoever. The average earnings with a master's degree, the average more money you'll make with a master's is $6,000 to $12,000 a year. It's a stat not from my own head, but one I pulled. $6,000 to $12,000 of extra money that the average person will make with a master's degree. So the question is, are you going to get a master's degree because you are trying to be smarter, because you want to fulfill your education internally, or because you're trying to make more money? If you're trying to make more money, I mean, I can think of a lot of easier ways to make $12,000 than spend 2 years and $50,000 getting a master's degree, right? Can you? So there it is. Just think of the end game, right? If the end game says I'm going to need a degree, then please go get one. And you're not a bad person in either scenario, whether you do or don't have a degree, or do or don't pursue college. It's okay. It's just what you want to do. But just think about what you want. That's all I'm trying to get across is, whatever the end result is what you should be going after from the beginning, right? If you're going after a certain end result, if you're trying to be a multimillionaire real estate investor, do you need to go to college? No. If you're trying to be a multimillionaire network marketer, do you need to go to college? Absolutely not, right? If you are trying to work at Starbucks, do you need to go get a degree and then go to Starbucks? No. But people in there right now that are working right now have a degree and that are working there because they can't find a job in their field of study or they're way underpaid? I would bet most of them. That sucks, right? So think of the end in mind. And by the way, if you're in a place right now where you are, maybe you're younger, or maybe you haven't gone to school yet for whatever reason, hey, if you need to think about things, gather your thoughts about where you're at in life. What do I do next? Here's the thing. You can think without spending money at college. You don't have to spend 50 grand a year for the luxury of figuring out what to do. Just an FYI, okay? It's a lot easier, by the way, if you're being told, if you don't go to school, or you got to start paying rent or something like that. Rent is way cheaper than college, by the way. You can go get a place, you can get a roommate for $300, $400, $500 a month, and that's a lot cheaper than 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a year. Here's the thing. It's a load of crap when people are trying to find their way that they're going through college. It's not true. You don't need to find your way that way. You can find your way with what's in your head and what else is out there in the world that does not cost as much as college does. If I could do it all over again, I'm not saying I would, because then I would be in a different spot and I wouldn't know where I would be, right? But if I could go back and change something about when I started all this is what I would do. I went to trade school. I got out of high school and pretty much went to trade school immediately. I made the best choice I knew how to make at the time. I wanted to start a race car shop, and I figured the best way to start a race car shop is to know how to do all the really intricate electronics in those particular types of cars I wanted to build. So I did actually need to go to the tuning school in order to learn this stuff. But I would have thought a little bit longer. So I went to trade school, and I learned all the crazy electronics and computer stuff with cars in order to tune them. If I could go back and do that again, here's what I would do. I would skip trade school. I would not do trade school. I would think about what I really, really wanted out of life. What I really, really wanted. I would think about it. And here's also what I would do. I would go travel the world. I don't know how I would get the money. I didn't have any money at the time. But I would figure out a way to go travel. I'd work at coffee shops in Asia or something. I would have done something. But I would have gone overseas and traveled the world for 1 or 2 years, for sure. Not a question. I learned so much traveling that I can't even convey in this video that I wish I would have done when I was younger. If I was 18 again, getting out of school, I would absolutely, positively not go to college no matter what I want to do with my life. And I would go travel for 1 to 2 years, and I would make money however I had to make money. And I would pay my own way rather than take money from anyone. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is think the whole time what I really, really want to do, and I would get around as many successful people as I possibly could and ask them everything I possibly could about how they became successful and why. The last thing I would do is get as much around as much personal development as I possibly could, which I did do that in my 20s, but I did it in a very, very specific field of study. I did it only around the network marketing industry, and I learned a lot, but what I would do differently is get it from a broader perspective. I would go into multiple different industries and learn from them, and learn from multiple different people about personal development, and that's the third thing I would do. I would travel the world, I would think about what I wanted and interview as many successful people as I possibly could, and I would get into personal development really, really heavily. Then I would decide where I'm going. Here's the thing. You got time. I don't care how old you are, but especially if you're below 25. If you're below 25, you have time. All right? It's going to be fine. And if you took 2 years out of your life right now and you went to go completely change your perspective and reshape everything, it is 100% worth it. If you're older than that, you can still do all of this. Obviously, you might have different responsibilities. If you have kids, you're not going to pick up and start doing this stuff. But remember to always think with the end in mind. You make better decisions today. Sound good? All right, guys. Well, hopefully you have an amazing day. And I'll talk to you all very. Oh, by the way, if this is helpful for you, like and subscribe, and we'll see you all very soon.